welcome back. I am in a new space. I've moved. I am now in Arizona. This week, it's not going to be the right week for you because I've got other things planned, but this week, for me, I will be doing a waste audit for one of my classes. And I thought I'd take you along because I have to document the process anyway for the class. I might as well make content out of it. So I'm going to be keeping all of my waste for this week, weighing it, sorting it, just, general auditing the waste that I have. This might not be the best week because I went grocery shopping 2 weeks ago, so any waste generated from that has already been gone, and my my period ended last week, so we're not getting that waste either. Because I don't use menstrual cups, they kind of freak me out. I mean, I'm probably going to try eventually because this class is really making me be aware of exactly how much waste I produce. It's making me a little stressed out, and if I can use a menstrual cup instead of tampons and pads, I might switch over to doing that. So anyway, come along with me as if garbage icks you out, this might not be the video for you, but we shall see. And after the waste audit, I'm going to give myself some time to see what I can improve on. And then maybe next year, maybe in a few months, I'll do this again and see if I'm able to cut down on the amount of waste that I produce, because I have a feeling it's going to be a bit. So let us adventure together. Day one, I've made breakfast. My first piece of trash came from my apple. There's a sticker on it. My first piece of compost also came from the apple because I didn't feel like eating the core. I foresee trash coming from the plastic wrapper on my bread, the plastic tub from the butter, and the plastic tub from the peanut butter. So I'm wondering how to cut back on those because I don't want to give up any of those products. I also use reusable water bottles so that will not be a source of trash. This may look exactly the same as breakfast, but I'm now having soup. It's now noon. I'm having soup for lunch. I made the soup a few days ago, and I made a lot so that I could just keep eating it. So there's no trash from this week. But there were 2 cans from the soup. I did dishes, and I realized I use this reusable silicone thing, which, while reusable, is also a plastic. I don't know if it can be recycled. I also don't know how long it will last, but it's certainly lasting longer than a single-use sponge. So there is that. I also use this, and I'm wondering if there is a dish soap that I could use that doesn't require the plastic packaging, even though it is recyclable. I don't know if the lid is recyclable, though I do know that the bottle itself is. I don't know if the plastic around the bottle is recyclable. So far I've only generated an apple core and a sticker, but it's also only been 2 meals. And we got 7 times 3 is 21, 19 meals to go. Okay, so I made the Szechuan cold noodles with corn and green beans. And so I have some more trash now. I have the packaging that the green beans came in, and I have the cans that the corn came in, and then I have some food scraps from cutting up the beans the green onions and the beans and the other things. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, I also make a mug cake because I wanted one, and so that's in there too. And it's non-recyclable, so I'm just gonna have to look into alternatives for that. So anyway, that's what I did today, and I would show you the garbage, but I'll probably show it to you tomorrow morning because I'm tired. The week is up. I have all of my waste at the foot of my bed. I think doing this made me think about my waste more, and so when I was in a situation where I could get something that produced waste or wait a little bit until I got home and not produce any waste, I chose to wait until I got home. And I don't know if that habit will stick, mostly because sometimes a person needs some chocolate. And I don't know how to make chocolate. And I don't know if the chocolate that I would make would be as good as a Heath bar or a Kit Kat or Hershey's Cookies and Cream Kisses. I'm a sucker for sweets, and I don't fully know how to make sweets with the minimal amount of waste, but that is something I'll be looking into because I realized exactly how much waste that stuff like that produces. Anyway, would you like to see my garbage? So this is my garbage. I did this for a project, and the project went from being a week long to only being a school project. It went from being a week long to only 48 hours long, so this is what I did in 48 hours. I had a bag of tea, or I guess a cup of tea. I had a single mug cake, and I had I made a recipe, I meal prepped a recipe with green beans, and I couldn't find green beans that were in bulk. They were only here. So that was my garbage for 48 hours. This is all stuff that can't be recycled. Then, I bought a package of gum. So this is a wrapper for the gum. At one point I was getting a migraine at school and I needed to eat something and I didn't pack anything. So I got a yogurt parfait, which gave me a stomachache because I can't have dairy, but it did stop the migraine. So that was great. I had some more tea, another bag of tea. I don't know what this, udon noodles from the recipe. Stickers from Green Onions. A Twix wrapper, because like I said, a person needs chocolate sometimes. And a Kleenex, which I did use before remembering that I had a handkerchief that I could have used instead. So that was all my garbage. For a week, it's not bad considering the average American produces about 5 pounds of garbage a day. This is less than a pound. So I do feel, I don't feel great about it. This is quite a lot, especially for one person, but it is better than it could be, I guess. It tells me that there's room for improvement, and that's a good thing. This is my pile of recycling. So first I have a toilet roll. I know that there are toilet rolls that don't have the paper on the inside. I just don't know where to get those, and I bulk bought things in Costco, so I have this toilet roll. I have 2 cans of corn that can be recycled. It doesn't tell me whether or not to take off the paper, and nothing online is giving me like a definitive answer. I have the lids to them as well. And then I have this sourdough bread bag, which is type 4, so it's a type 4 plastic, and in Tucson you can recycle a type 4 plastic, so we're gonna go find out where I can do that next. That was all of my recycling. And finally I have my compost. Now this is a compost bag, or a compostable bag, but only in certain compost places, like compost facilities. It can be composted. I'm gonna not go through this because it smells. But in that compost, I have green onions, or bits of green onions that I couldn't use. I put the root bits in a cup of water and hopefully they'll make more green onions. I don't know if that's how that works, but I'm trying. If not, that'll just go back into compost. I have a few apple cores. Oh, in the garbage, I had apple stickers, like the stickers that come on the outside of apples, like the PLU codes. I don't know if it's PLU or something else, but like the Universal Product Code. UPC. They had the UPC codes on the outside of apples. And the bananas. So there's banana peels in there, there's an orange peel in there, there's some apple cores in there because I didn't feel like eating the apple core. I know you can, I just didn't feel like eating it and could go in compost. There are green bean trimmings. And there are a few tea bags, because apparently you can compost tea bags. Now I'm gonna go drop that off at a compost place, because I do not have the space, the energy, or the knowledge to compost here. I live in an apartment. We have a balcony, but I can't really do that. You're not supposed to leave anything on the balcony. So yeah, overall, by weight, my recycling had the most, but by volume, my garbage had the most. And I think I can cut down on garbage by being more aware of what I buy, making sure what I buy can be reused or recycled, otherwise not buying it. I think being aware of recycling and the recycling rules of the area will help me make smarter choices about recycling. And I think knowing what I can compost and where I can go compost it will be really helpful for composting in the future. Overall, I produced a lot more waste than I thought I would, mostly because I'm one person. But I also, at the same time, produced a whole lot less waste than I thought. Because when you hear that the average is 5 pounds per person per day, and this whole garbage, all of my waste, was about 1.5 pounds for a week, means that I produce a whole lot less garbage than some other people. But if you say 5 pounds on average per person, are you also counting businesses? Is it taking the total weight of the waste produced in the United States and then dividing it just by the number of people in the United States? Like, how is that number coming about? In the report, it didn't fully say, so I'm not entirely sure. But I do now have more ideas of how I can reduce waste. I am still not going to do a menstrual cup. I know that menstrual hygiene products are a big source of waste, but there has to be a better way to work on that. Apart from, like, free bleeding is fine, especially with those period panties or whatever. But by doing that, you then have to wash the product more, which results in water waste. And do those two things offset each other? A lot of people are uncomfortable with tampons, either for religious reasons or like comfort reasons. I personally don't like acknowledging that I have genitals. And so tampons make me really dysphoric. And menstrual cups are the same way. And so a menstrual cup is upsetting to me and my mental health. And so I use pads instead. But that's a big waste. That is waste that could be avoided if we had another option. If there was a more eco-friendly way that didn't harm my mental health, I would take that option. But I haven't found it yet. So that's something I will look into. For things like dishwashing, I wash a lot of dishes. I have actual porcelain, I don't know if it's porcelain, but like ceramic dishes. Just because plastic dishes, just sometimes you want a fancy dish and a plastic dish just isn't gonna cut it. But I do wash them, and I use a reusable silicone scrubby guy. But eventually that silicone's gonna break down and I'm going to need to replace that scrubber. Is there a way to reduce that waste in a way that is eco-friendly? Is the production of the silicone and the amount of times I use the silicone brush offset by the number of sponges that I won't be using, single-use sponges that I won't be using? Is the production and the use of the silicone brush going to, and its lifespan, going to be better or worse than the production and the use of a biodegradable brush? Is the biodegradable brush going to be as effective in cleaning as the silicone brush? Is it going to be more or less? Like, how does that balance out? I don't know. It's another question I need to think about. Dishwasher soap, like dish soap. Is there a way to get dish soap that does not come in that plastic bottle? How would that work? Where can I do that? Getting bulk foods. Where can I get bulk foods? What can I put the bulk foods in? Does the preservation and the cost outweigh the environmental impact? Can I afford to do something like that? Not everybody can go zero waste, and a lot of it is geographical availability. Getting fresh and local produce in Tucson is kind of difficult. I can imagine it's difficult in other places as well. So that is not always an option for cutting our carbon footprint. And a lot of times getting that locally sourced produce can be more expensive than just picking up produce at the grocery store, because the people who made that locally grown produce need to make a living. It makes sense in the long run, but some people just don't have the money to pay for that, or the resources in order to go to that farmer's market. Maybe they have to work that day and the farmer's market's only open on one day a week. Going zero waste requires having some place where you can pick up your food zero waste. And I don't think there's a place around here that does that. If there is, I haven't found it. And the place that I go to, I can walk to, so that's cutting that carbon footprint down, but it's not entirely zero waste. Also, there was an article that I read in National Geographic about the cost the environmental cost of production of the cotton reusable grocery bags is the environmental impact of creating those bags is worse than the environmental impact of creating the plastic bags. That you would have to use those cotton bags for like 16 years in order to outweigh the impact that that bag has. And so that's something to think about. Is the production of your reusable product outweighing what you're using it to replace, if that makes sense? I use those bags all the time. I've already used those bags for 6 years now, so 10 more years to go. They are in good condition. I can keep using them. But is there a better way to reduce waste and also be environmentally friendly? Because the environmental impacts of cotton for those cotton reusable grocery bags is what's pulling the environmental impact of those bags down, or I guess up. It's increasing the impact. Does any of that make sense? Anyways, this project really got me thinking about a lot of things. If you have any answers, or if you have done this and want to share your results, do so in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!